My full name is Aparna Thadani, and I'm a CA, CPA, and I worked in corporate, and I've been teaching for the last 7, 8 years now, etc., etc. If you want to know more about me, you can go to our website, which is accounting for management. As I told you, this chapter is going to give you a little bit background about what is the nature and purpose of management accounting, what is the role of a management accountant, and so on. Yeah. So the pattern we follow in class is we read the chapter in the class. So I nominate one person amongst you all only to read the chapter. Another rule is whoever reads the chapter puts up the homework on the group. Okay. So let's say today we'll start with Priyanshi because all of them are new here. So if Priyanshi reads in the class today, she has to put up the homework on the group once the class is done. Yeah, that is how we assign the roles. Chalo. So we are starting with accounting for management, and the very first topic we have is nature of good information. Yeah.
Nature of good information, data and information. Data means facts. Data consists of numbers, letters, symbols, raw facts, events, and transactions which have been recorded but not yet processed in a form suitable for use. Information is data which has been processed in such a way that it is meaningful to the person who receives it for making decisions. The terms data and information are often used interchangeably in everyday language. As data is converted into information, some of the detail of the data is eliminated and replaced by summaries, which are easier to understand.
Yeah, so I think ये तुमको बचपन में ही सिखा दिया था. Data क्या होता है? It is just a collection of certain things. It can be numbers, letters, symbols, raw facts, and so on and so forth. Once all this is put together in a meaningful form, what comes out of it is information. Okay, so that's the basic difference between data and information. Chalo. Can we do TYU1?
TYU1. What if any is the difference between data and information? A. They are the same. B. Data can only be figures, whereas information can be facts or figures. C. Information results from sorting and analyzing data. D. Data results from obtaining many individual pieces of information.
Tell me, which is the correct answer here? What according to you is the difference between data and information?
Ma'am, C. Information results from sorting and analyzing data.
Okay. Anybody else? You agree with C? Everybody agree with C? Yeah? Yes. The correct answer is C, naturally, because they are definitely not the same. If you look at option A, they are definitely not the same. B is data can only be figures, whereas information can be facts or figures. ऐसा किसी ने नहीं बोला है. Data can be anything. Information also can be anything. If you look at the D option, data results from obtaining many individual pieces of information. No. Data is not derived from information. Information is derived from data. Now, I hope you all paid attention to how we did this TYU, because this is how you need to do your homework. Right? MCQs typically are very confusing. Right? Now, what happens most of the times is 4 options are given in front of you. Students have this tendency to jumping on to the right answer immediately. Take your time. Remember, every question is going to cost you 2 marks. Take your time, think through properly, evaluate why other options are not correct, and then select the correct option. Right? Similarly, if let's say you selected B, you go and see the answer behind is C. Don't just blindly accept that C is the correct answer. Try and understand why is C the correct answer. If you follow that pattern, you become more thorough with the syllabus. Yeah. So it's not about just picking and coming out. It is about understanding what are you choosing. Yeah. So let's continue.
Attributes of good information. Information is provided to management to assist them with planning, controlling operations, and making decisions. Management decisions are improved when they are provided with better quality information. The attributes of good information can be identified by the accurate acronym as shown below. A. Accurate. The degree of accuracy depends on the reason why the information is needed. For example, a report on the performance of different divisions of a business may show figures to the nearest dollar or nearest $1,000. When calculating the cost of a unit of output, managers may want the cost to be accurate to the nearest cent. C. Complete. Managers should be given all the information they need, but information should not be excessive. For example, a complete control report on variances should include all standard and actual costs necessary to gain understanding of the variance calculations. Production managers will need the variance analysis related to material usage, whereas purchasing managers will need the variance analysis related to material prices. C. Cost effective. The value of information should not exceed the cost of producing it. Management information is valuable because it assists decision making. For decision backed by information is different from what it would have been without the information. The value of information equates to the amount of money saved as a result.
Yeah, let's understand these terms first. You know the acronym accurate? I think ये भी कहीं तो भी school में या 11th 12th में किया रहेगा. But anyways, accurate. The A stands for accurate. Of course, the information that the management accountant is producing should be accurate. Yeah, but you cannot become obsessed with accuracy. You cannot become obsessed with accuracy. Sometimes the management just needs an overall idea about what's happening. So at that time, even if you manage to give a rough idea about what's happening, it's fine, right? They've given a very good example, but let's say if the management has asked you to calculate a cost per unit, कि हम लोग tables बनाते हैं, तो एक table बनाने का cost कितना है? At that time, you cannot tell him, हाँ, roughly. At that time, you have to be accurate. So accuracy, you have to understand where to be 100% accurate and where to be just above accuracy is enough. Similarly, with completeness of information. Again, you cannot be obsessed with any of the acronyms. You have to take a judgment call. कि कहाँ पे complete होना जरूरी है, कहाँ पे little bit is all right. Yeah. Last comes cost effective, and that we all know. Value of information should exceed the cost of producing it. Remember, every information comes at a cost, especially in corporates. How much are you ready to spend is the question. How much are you ready to spend? How much will you be ready to spend? You should be able to spend only that much which equates to at least the benefit coming from the information. उससे ज़्यादा तो नहीं spend करना चाहिए, right? So we always want to be cost effective when it comes to information. That is another rule that we follow. Yeah. Let's look at illustration 1.
Illustration 1. Marginal cost versus marginal benefit. Production costs in a factory can be reported with varying levels of frequency ranging from daily 365 times per year to annually once per year. Costs and benefits of reporting relate to the frequency of reporting. Information has to be gathered, collated, and reported in proportion to frequency, and costs will move in line with this. Initially, benefits increase sharply, but this increase starts to tail off. A point may come where information overload sets in and benefits actually start to decline and even becomes negative. If managers are overwhelmed with information, this can actually get in the way of completing a job.
Yes, ये हम सबको मालूम है actually, right? Compare the situation to when COVID started. Yeah, every information about COVID was so important for us initially. Yeah, we were glued to our TVs. Any new information and the amount of value you were placing on that information was so high. What should you do? तुमको COVID हो गया तो क्या करना चाहिए? How to prevent it? हाथ धोना चाहिए, sanitizer, etc. etc. After some time, there was so much information that we all reached a stage of information overload. Now there was no value to the information that we were getting. Why? Because we were so done with it. We already knew what we wanted to know. We didn't want to know more. Yeah. So that is the balance that every management accountant has to strike. You need the right amount of information, but you don't want to reach a stage of information overload. Is that okay? Yeah. So they put down a very fancy graph. They put down graphs at random of places. So I don't know showing what. But this is a graph where they are talking about the information overload kind of situation. Yeah. On the x-axis, we have number of reports. Yeah. On the y-axis, we are talking about how much money you are spending to get those reports. Yeah. The solid blue line over here is the cost. ये वाली जो line है वो क्या है? Cost. जितना reports बढ़ेगा उतना cost तो बढ़ते ही जाएगा. You have to spend for every other report that you are producing. But what is happening to benefit? Initially, as the reports come in, benefit is very high. You reach a point where you are like, I am done. This much information is enough for me. And after that, the value of the report starts falling down. Here is where you are getting optimum information. Now, when you are going downwards, you have reached information overload stage. You don't value that information anymore. Is that okay? Right. So let's continue with the remaining acronyms.
Understandable. Use of technical language or jargon must be limited. Accountants must always be careful about the way in which they present financial information to non-financial managers. Relevant. The information contained within a report should be relevant to its purpose. Redundant parts should be removed. For example, the sales team may need to know the total cost of producing a unit to calculate the selling price, but will not need to know the breakdown into material, labor, and overhead costs. Authoritative. Information should be trusted and provided from reliable sources so that the users can have confidence in their decision making. Timely. Information should be provided to a manager in time for decisions to be made based on the information. Easy to use. We must always think that about the person using the information we provide and make sure the information meets their needs.
So I think all of them are easily understood. Understandable तो होना ही चाहिए. बहुत ज़्यादा technical होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Because you have to remember, not everybody comes from a financial background. People from non-financial background might not understand your report. It should be relevant. Yeah, I should be interested in what I'm reading. Authoritative, of course. Because if the report or the information is not coming from a reliable source, that information is of no use. Yeah. Next one is timely. Yes, if decision has to be taken by this month end, you cannot give the report the next month. That information is of no use. Because decision लेने का time निकल चुका है. And easy to use, of course. Again, you cannot have a wall of words. What we call typical reports, they look like wall of words. Means what? You just have paragraphs and paragraphs of something written. Who wants to read such a report? Right? If you make it little pictorial, you have graphs, you have other kind of pictorial depiction of what you're trying to say, it becomes easier to understand and use. Is that okay? Everybody's okay with the acronym here? Yeah? इतना जरूरत नहीं था मेरे को पढ़ाने की, but ठीक है मुझे लगा अभी फर्स्ट डे तो आई थिंक otherwise everybody has done this acronym no some point in life. No, नहीं किया कौन में नहीं किया नहीं किया बीटी जो करके आया उसको तो ये सब कंप्लीट रहेगा. ठीक है. Now we are moving one step further. Data देख लिया, information देख लिया. How do you get knowledge from it and how do you become wise after that knowledge? Yeah. The perennial question of our life. Yeah, knowledge is not equal to wisdom.
Data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. The arrival of the internet has made it much easier for organization and individual to access data at the right time and the right place. However, at the same time, the internet has opened up questions about data being error-free and about who can have access to it. As well as the issue of data quality, there is the question of how data, information, and knowledge relate to one another. Russell Ackoff was one of the first people to speak of there being a hierarchy which he referred to as data, information, knowledge, wisdom, DIKW hierarchy. According to this model, data are simple facts or figures, or maybe even a photograph or an illustration. In this form, data is unstructured and undetermined. Information comes from processing or structuring data in a meaningful way. Another way of looking at this is that information is interpreted data. An interesting story is told by Joan Margareta in her book What Management Is about Steve Jobs, which clearly illustrates the difference between data and information. Despite its small share of total market for personal computers, Apple has long been a leader in sales to schools and universities. When CEO Steve Jobs learned that Apple's share of computer sales to schools was 12.5% in 1999, he was dismayed. But unless you are an industry analyst who knows the numbers whole, you won't appreciate
you won't appreciate
just how dismayed he was. That's because in 1998, Apple was the segment leader with a market share of 14.6%. And when Apple slipped to the number 2 spot in 1999, Dell grew and took the lead with 15.1%. Alone, each number is meaningless. Together, they spell trouble. If you're Steve Jobs, you see a trend that you better figure out how to reverse. This isn't number crunching, it's sense making.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
2003 or 20,
whatever, page 1 in the book. So now, yeah. So one thing is, of course, there are certain names of people that you're going to come across, some authors. Because management accounting involves a lot of models also. The model is always authored by some other person. So हो सके तो authors के नाम याद रखो. Yeah. So I feel the best way of doing it is have a separate. I'll ask you to make a lot of notes of yourself, your own notes, basically, because the syllabus is so vast. सब book में से तो नहीं हो सकता. So certain things अगर तुम parallelly अपने notes बनाते रहो तो तुम्हारे लिए later on revision के लिए easy हो जाता है. So one set of notes that you can prepare is the name of models and authors. Right? So today, if you've done this chapter, if you just quickly write down Russell Ackoff, what did he do? DIKW. What was his model? DIKW. DIKW क्या था? Data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So he tried to make an interconnection between all this. He tried to do an interconnection between all this, and they've given you a very beautiful example. Yeah. एप्पल के सीईओ ने किसी ने तो आके बोला कि तुम्हारा कंप्यूटर सेल्स 12.5% है. You wouldn't know how to react to such information. If somebody came and told you or me, we wouldn't know कि 12.5% मतलब क्या. But if somebody tells you कि 14% से 12.5 हो गया है, now you know it's not good. Right? That's the difference between data and information. Then how you convert it into knowledge and how you become wise out of it is something that is up to you. Is that okay? No. So they've done a little bit more analysis on this.
In this example, the 12.5% was data, and when it was seen in conjunction with the 15.1%, it became information. Knowledge is again different to data and information. Knowledge is much more personal, and the presence or absence of knowledge can only be seen through the actions of individuals. The knowledge is written down, it effectively becomes information. Finally, with respect to wisdom, it is difficult to define this concept. Wisdom has something to do with understanding or insight. It is to do with achieving a good long-term outcome in relation to the circumstances you are in.
Yes. ठीक है. So data information तो clear हो गया. Knowledge क्या है? Knowledge is much more personal. Knowledge is much more personal. In the sense, what knowledge I got from a particular piece of information is very personal to me. You might get some different insight. I might have got some different insight. Right? So knowledge is very personal. And wisdom, of course, we all know it is something to do with understanding or insight. अभी तुम इतना सब डेटा इंफॉर्मेशन नॉलेज से वाइज होते हो कि नहीं, that's a completely different ballgame. Yeah? मतलब एक बार नहीं पढ़ाई करके अगर तुम फेल हो जाओ, तुम्हारे पास अभी डेटा भी है, इंफॉर्मेशन भी है, नॉलेज भी आ गई है, कि नहीं पढ़ने से फेल होते हो. वाइज हुए हो कि नहीं, नेक्स्ट टाइम अच्छे से पढ़ना है, that will just be basically. Yeah? I can tell you right now, if you don't study, you're not. Think of PIKW over here. So you have to study to pass. Huh? That is the universal wisdom. Okay, sure. The next part is mission statement, but before that, we're going to take a break. Yeah. Typically in a 2-hour class, I take 5 minutes break after the first 1 hour is done. Yeah, just to drink water. But people who are online, don't go here and there on very long breaks. Huh? It's just a 5-minute break. It's not that you can go and on your speaker. So it's 1:06. I'll see you exactly at 1:11 in 5 minutes. Yeah, and then we'll continue with the chapter. Yes, so I'll see you in 5 minutes. When we start getting into more complicated topics, no, automatically break time delay. Because then 5 minutes break will not help anybody, not even me. And I'll only give you 10 minutes break. So that was very heavy. Okay. Is everybody back?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So let's continue with the chapter. We have something very interesting over here, which is known as the mission statement. Now, before we actually just start reading about mission statement, I want to give you a background about why are we studying mission statements. Yeah. Now, what are mission statements? First of all, you know that when any company is founded, the founder of the company has a vision. कि ये मैं company क्यों establish कर रहा हूँ? What is it that I want to achieve in the next 20 years? Or why am I founding the company in the first? That becomes the company's vision, right? Then comes something like a mission. Vision is one level below the vision, and a mission is the objective of the company, right? Vision is very, very long term. कि चलो 30 years बाद where do I want to be, right? Mission is a little short term, but still it is your long term goal of what do you want to achieve with your company. Mission gets broken down into a goal. Goal gets broken down into objective. Objective gets broken down into KPI, CSF, and a CSF gets broken down into KPI. So there are so many levels that we're going to study later. Yeah. But the starting point is vision जो होता है वो तो इतना long term होता है that we don't even want to discuss. So for us the starting point is mission. Now coming back to as a management accountant, why do you need to know the mission of the company? Okay. Now here is where financial accounting and management accounting are very different. In financial accounting, the accountant or the employee knows what he's doing. उसको सब ट्रांजैक्शंस रिकॉर्ड करना है, उसको बुक कीपिंग करना है, उसको ट्रायल बैलेंस निकालना है, उसको फाइनल अकाउंट्स बनाना है, बैलेंस शीट, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, कैश फ्लो बन गया. That is the aim of a financial accountant. That's the role of a financial accountant. What is the role of a management accountant? To help the company or help the management achieve its objectives. Management accountant helps a management to achieve its objectives. So if as a management accountant, you don't know only what is company's objective, how will you help your management achieve it? Yeah. So management accountant के लिए there is no rule, there is no law, there is no compulsion, there are no accounting standards, there is nothing. A management accountant will do whatever the management will ask him or her to do. Right? And why will we do it? Because we want to achieve the mission of the company. Yeah, that is why we always study mission statements. अभी तुम्हारे MA level तक शायद mission statement का इतना काम नहीं है, but when you go to APM, that is the last level, the first thing a question will tell you is what is the company's mission? And then your answer depends upon what is the company's mission. Yeah, anyways. So यहाँ पे जितना है उतना पढ़ लेते हैं about mission statements. Let's continue.
Mission statements. For any planning can take place, the mission of the business needs to be established. The mission statement is a statement in writing that describes the overall aims of an organization. That is, what it is trying to accomplish. In other words, it sets out the whole purpose of the business. There are 4 key elements to a mission statement. Purpose. Why does the business exist and who does it exist for? Strategy. What does the business provide and how is it provided? Policies and culture. How does the business expect its staff to act or behave? Values. What are the 4 principles of the business? The mission will express what the business wants to achieve overall and the aims and objectives managers produce should all work towards achieving this. Mission statements will have some or all of the following characteristics. Usually a brief statement of no more than a page in length. Very general statement of entity culture. States the aims of the organization. states the business areas in which organization intends to operate. Open-ended, not in qualifiable terms, does not include commercial terms such as profit, not time measurement, forms a basis of communication to the people inside the organization and the people outside the organization. Used to formulate goal statements, objectives, and short-term targets, guides the direction of the entity strategy, and as such is a part of management information.
First thing you should know the four. First of all, the definition of a mission statement. What is a mission statement? It is a statement in writing. मतलब it is not कि founder ने बोला आज ये mission है और परसों बोल दिया हमारा कुछ अलग mission है. एक बार mission decide हो जाता है, it is recorded in writing, and it is basically something which describes the overall aim of the organization. Yeah. First thing to remember is that. Second is mission के key elements क्या है? In the sense, जब भी अगर तुम कंपनी कल फाउंड करोगे और तुम अपनी कंपनी का मिशन स्टेटमेंट लिखने जाओगे तो याद रखना है योर मिशन स्टेटमेंट शुड हैव ऑल दीज फोर थिंग्स. इट शुड हैव अ पर्पस, राइट? इट शुड आल्सो हैव अ स्ट्रेटजी. Yeah, in the sense you cannot just say that I will take people to the moon. That is my mission. You also need to have a strategy. How are you planning to take people to the moon? कि तुम ऐसा वेग मिशन बनाओगे तो तुम्हारे कंपनी में कोई काम करने को नहीं आएंगे. या फिर भी इलॉन मस्क के पास लोग जाते हैं. But whatever, that's a separate thing. Yeah, your mission statement also talks about the policies and cultures of your business. How do you want to achieve your mission? Yeah, and the last is values. What are the core principles of the business? So, बहुत it sounds very abstract. But actually, as a founder of the company, you have to quantify all this and put it in writing. कि मेरा objective क्या है, मैं कैसे achieve करूँगा, and what is the culture or values I will follow while achieving. Yeah, now you won't believe, but some companies are very cutthroat. They are like, our objective is to make profit, and we want to make profit at any cost. Right? They don't mind using substandard material. They don't mind going low quality. They don't mind giving their workers not good conditions to work in. Why? Because they are very cutthroat. Their objective is to make money. If you are going to achieve your objective like this talks about your culture and values. But if you say that no, my objective is to make money by providing the best quality XYZ to people, that talks about your values. That no, I am not compromising on the quality. Yeah, so it speaks a lot about the company, but as I said, अभी इतना लोड लेने की बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है. ये चार चीजें याद रखो, उसका डेफिनेशन याद रखो. ये याद रहा तो ठीक है, otherwise it's okay. They're just trying to tell you that mission is very broad, right? Now this is something that you can read on your own. These are mission statements of certain companies. They first started with Kaplan का mission statement. Yeah, and sometimes when you read the mission statements, you can't make out ये कंपनी करना क्या चाहती है. For example, look at Microsoft. To empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. What I will do. You can't even make out what the company is trying to do. Yeah, it is very, very big. Yeah. Similarly, Cadbury. We हम बोलेंगे Cadbury का mission होगा to make the best chocolates in the world. So look at this. Cadbury means quality. This is our promise. Our reputation is built upon quality. Our commitment to continuous improvement will ensure that our promise is delivered. Who will say कि chocolate बनाते? Right? So anyway, that's why I'm saying don't pay attention to the mission statement as of now too much. So APM में जाएंगे तो we'll deep dive into the mission and break it down and so on. As of now, remember, company has a mission. Yeah, we are going to break it down a lot. Now we come to a very mundane process which every subject has. Whichever subject of ACCA you're going to pick up, it is going to have something to do with planning, decision making, and control. Can you tell me why? Why do we always study planning, decision making, and control? Have you studied this before, first of all? Not really. Another. You have studied? You must have studied. You also must. What about the others? Have you studied planning, decision making, and control before?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
We are studying now.
Studying now. Okay. Anyways, some point in your life when you're doing your BCom, undergrad, whatever, you are going to come across this whole drill of planning, decision making, and control. And the reason why we go through the drill is that these are considered to be the three primary functions of any management across the world. No matter what's your mission, no matter what's your vision, no matter what kind of company you are, the management is forever doing these three tasks of first planning, then taking decisions, and then trying to control the decisions you have taken. It's a repetitive cycle that you will keep on doing. Yeah. So let's read about this managerial process. हाँ, प्लानिंग में क्या आता है, डिसीजन मेकिंग में क्या आता है, कंट्रोल में क्या?
The managerial process of planning, decision making, and control. The main functions that management are involved with are planning, decision making, and control. Plan. Set objectives for achievement. Identify way in which objectives can be achieved. Make a decision as to how objectives can be achieved based on information provided. Decision making. Implement decision. Control. Gather information about actual results achieved. Compare actual results and expected results. Evaluate outcomes. Revise original objectives if necessary.
Just give a broad thought to this. Planning में हम क्या कर रहे हैं? अपना objective set कर रहे हैं. We are thinking or we are planning how we are going to achieve those objectives, and then you are taking a decision on how those objectives can be achieved. So planning is all about मेरे objectives क्या है and how am I going to achieve the objectives. Decision making में what do? To achieve one objective, you will always have 3-4 ways of doing it. Yeah, you are going to take a decision. Which way are we choosing? Which way are we choosing? And in the last step, I have taken a decision. Now I want to see whether my decision has been right or wrong. Am I achieving the objective based on my decision or no? Yeah. So this is a 3-step approach which you are going to study in every subject going forward. Now we're going to go into a little bit details of the 3. Yeah, let's continue.
Planning involves establishing the objectives of an organization and formulating relevant strategies that can be used to achieve those objectives. In order to make plans, it helps to know what has happened in the past so that decisions about what is achievable in the future can be made. For example, if a manager is planning future sales volumes, he or she needs to know what the sales volumes have been in the past. Planning can be either short-term, tactical planning, or long-term strategic planning. Planning is looked at in more detail in the next section of the study.
What planning करने वाले हैं?
During the planning process, the mission statement of a business is used to produce effective aims and objectives for employees and the company as well. Aims and objectives should be smart. Smart as specific. Are the objectives well defined and understandable? Measurable. Can achievement of the objectives be measured so that completion can be confirmed? Attainable, achievable. Can the objectives be achieved, said to be achieved with the sources and skills available? Relevant. Are the objectives relevant for the people involved and the mission of the business? Time. Are deadlines being set for the objectives that are achievable? Are there any stages in reviews planned to monitor progress towards the objective? By following the SMART hierarchy, a business should be able to produce plans that lead to goal congruence throughout the departments, centers, and regional offices, the whole business.
Yes. So planning में तो एक ही चीज याद रखनी है. एक तो planning बहुत type की होती है. We are going to study all this in detail in the later chapter. But remember, in planning, basically we are focusing on our objective, right? And before you start planning for your objective should be smart. Are you getting what I'm saying? Before you decide how to reach the destination, you should cross-check that is your destination achievable also or no. Destination should be smart. And what is smart? Smart matlab specific. Exactly what is it that you want? Yeah, vague statements नहीं होने चाहिए. जैसे मैंने तुमको बोला, we want to reach the moon. It's too vague. Doesn't mean anything. Measurable. Objective measure करने को आना चाहिए. Otherwise, how do you know whether you achieved it or not? Yeah, you cannot have an objective that make everybody happy. How are you going to measure who's happy and who's not? Yeah, so it has to be very, very measurable, attainable, of course. No point in working towards something which is never going to be achieved. Should be relevant. Relevant to whom? Relevant to the mission of the business. Right? Remember, mission cannot be achieved in one day. Mission is going to be achieved in different objectives spread over a number of years. Each objective should be relevant to the mission. Are you getting the link over here? How about you all online? Are you all getting what I'm trying to say? I hope you all have not slept off.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. It should be timed. Time means what? Do you have specific deadline when an objective should be met? Yeah, something like an MA paper. Better to have an objective. Can become a 1-year plan also. You can do MA paper for 1 year also after they finish the bank. Because they just keep on procrastinating. मैम थोड़ी और प्रिपरेशन कर दूं मैम थोड़ा और एक बार रीड कर दूं कुछ नहीं होने वाला एक बार अच्छा 2 बार अच्छे से रीड करो जाके पेपर yeah anyway so it has to be timed and if you follow the smart technique then most of the times your objectives are aligned to your mission and you are going to achieve your mission very fast. In this case it is becoming ACCA. Yeah, MA is just one objective from your total mission. Are we good? No. So let's move on to decision making.
Decision making. Decision making involves considering information that has been provided and making an informed decision. In most situations, decisions making involves making a choice between 2 or more alternatives. Managers need reliable information to compare the different courses of action available and understand what the consequences might be of choosing each of them. The first part of the decision-making process is plan. The second part is control. Control. Information relating to the actual results of an organization is reported to managers. Managers use the information relating to actual results to take control measures and to assess and amend their original budgets or plans. Internally source information produced largely for control purposes is called feedback. The feedback loop is demonstrated in the following illustration.
Yes. Now, decision making, I have already told you, choosing between various objectives, and control is basically taking the actual results and comparing to your original plans. कि तुमने जैसे सोचा था वैसा हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है तो भी feedback दो. Because if you get a feedback that things are going as per plan, you are encouraged to continue the same path. And if you get a feedback that no, it is not going the way you want it to go, you might want to change it a bit. So feedback is actually the most important step. People can do all the planning and decision making of the world, but if they don't get feedback only, how do they know whether they are on the right track or no? Yeah, and it is not a one-time thing. There is something called as the feedback loop. हम इसको loop क्यों बोल रहे हैं? Because you see the arrows never end. There is input into the system and the system gives an output. Based on the output, you plan or you prepare a budget. You implement the budget. After that, you start controlling. Whatever feedback you give in your control step again goes as input into the system. Again, there is an output. Again, you plan. So this cycle never ends. That's why it's called a loop. मतलब जो never ending होता है ना. Right. Yeah. So let's finish this.
For example, illustration 2, the managerial process of planning or planning decision. Input, system, output, plan or budget, control. Here, management prepares a plan which is put into action by managers with control over the input resources, labor, money, materials, equipment, and so on. Output from operations is measured and reported. Feedback to management and actual results are compared against the plan and control reports. Managers take corrective actions where appropriate, especially in the case of exceptionally bad or good performance. Feedback can also be used to revise plans or prepare the plans for the next period.
And I told you feedback is the most important. Are we okay, everybody, so far? Any doubts? Any question? Very much, इसमें doubt नहीं आता है. In case there is anything, let me know. So, we are going to do this exercise now, where you have to complete the table and identify each function as whether it is planning, decision making, or is it control. Yeah. So I give you all 2 minutes. Mark your answer, then we will discuss. So, preparation of the annual budget for a cost center. What is it?
Planning.
Planning.
Planning. Okay. When you're preparing a budget, you are planning. You've not taken a decision as yet. You've not taken a decision as yet. मतलब yes, I understand what you're saying. कि budget finalize होने के पहले उस process में तुमने बहुत सारे decisions लिए होंगे. But when you are actually sitting and preparing the budget, the first step that you will do is plan. क्या होता है ना generally budget preparation में कभी भी एक budget नहीं बनता है.
But मैम budget तरह से तो कुछ तो decisions लेंगी ना सर.
Definitely.
Every department.
Definitely. But the process of making the budget involves a lot of decisions, but preparation of the budget is a planning. Yeah, so this is plans. Revise the budget for next period for a cost center. I'm not saying control, but not everything. Tell me. If you are revising the budget, what are you doing? Which are you taking? Are you still planning? Are you taking decisions?
Control.
Okay, control.
Ma'am, we are still planning.
Are we still planning? You are revising the budget.
No, ma'am, it's not planning. Ma'am, it's control.
Yes, you are controlling now. You are controlling. Yeah. So revising is going to be control. Actually, what Nikunj said is right. When you are preparing a budget, you are both planning and decision making. सबको decision making चाहिए. Everything is decision making.
और फिर जो actual answer है उसको
Decision तो होता ही है.
होगा ही.
हर एक प्रोसेस को डिसीजन होगा ऐसा. This is one more thing I should not do. Look at answers behind. पूरा होने दो फिर चेक करो. तुम पहले आंसर्स पीछे देख लोगे तो the answer gets imprinted in your brain. Okay, so this is one very important thing. A good, I am speaking about it now only. If you are very serious about passing the paper, stop looking at answers behind. When I give you questions for homework, answers are all there behind the exam. It's just a matter of flipping pages. All answers are there. Right? And it is no skill. पीछे देख के आंसर देख लेना कोई स्किल काम नहीं है. It's just a matter of couple of seconds. But the moment you see an answer, your understanding stops. You will never grasp a topic if you go and look at answers. और MA तो पास करना इम्पॉसिबल है अगर तुम्हें ये आदत लग गई कि बार बार जाके पीछे आंसर देखो. तुम अगर पीछे आंसर देख लोगे तुम खुद का दिमाग लगाना बंद कर दो. तो अभी तुम्हारे दिमाग में बैठ गया है कि ये सब में डिसीजन मेकिंग है. Where is your understanding or your thinking? This is a very small example. This topic also is not that important. But as we go further, if you are used to looking at answers behind, I'm telling you, the answer just gets stuck in your brain. Then you stop analyzing. Because you know now कि यही answer है. Yeah? So if you're serious about passing the paper, don't look at the answers. Yeah? I see, if you give me the right answer, I'll be like, oh, amazing, XYZ is so intelligent, giving me the right answer. But मुझे impress करके मुझे कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. If I have a very high opinion about you, it doesn't help anywhere. I'm not going to refund your fees because you are intelligent. Yeah. Finally, you have to pass the exam. To impress the exam. Okay, so don't bother about impressing me. I automatically get impressed. I know who's studying how much. Just give me 1 week, I'll tell you who's studying with you. Yeah. So anyways, so that's one thing. Please don't look at answer again. Put the remarks about. Now, implement decisions based on information provided.
Decision making, ma'am.
Yes. This is of course is talking about implementing decisions. So it is 100% decision making. Set organization's objective for next period. It is primarily
Planning.
yes, it is primarily
Planning.
planning. Yeah, setting objectives.
Planning.
Compare actual
Yes.
and expected results.
Controlling.
Controlling.
Absolutely. When you are comparing actual and expected results, you are comparing. Yeah. So broadly, you know what comes under planning, control, and decision. अभी रही बात जो आंसर पीछे दिया है, they are 100% right. No matter what stage you are in, decision making is a part of your everyday life. तुम प्लानिंग कर रहे हो तभी भी तुम डिसीजन ले रहे हो, तुम कंट्रोल कर रहे हो तभी भी तुम डिसीजन ले रहे हो. Decision making is inevitable. Even if I'm planning whether to do A or B, I'm still taking a decision. Right? That's why decision making has been ticked for all the options. Decision making is omnipresent. Thank God. Present everywhere. Whether you do planning or you do control, you are always taking decisions. Are we okay? Yeah? Lovely. चलो ठीक है, हमने already highlighted to you. That is unnecessary. Okay, ठीक है, चलो. Let's move on to what are the levels of planning. Planning को हम थोड़ा detail में लेके जा रहे हैं.
Levels of planning. There are 3 different levels of planning, known as planning horizons. These 3 levels differ according to their time span and the seniority of the manager responsible for the task involved. Strategic planning. Strategic planning can also be known as long-term planning or corporate planning. It considers the long term, 5 years plus, the whole organization. Senior managers formulate long-term objectives, goals, and plans, strategies for an organization as a whole. These objectives and plans should all be aiming to achieving the company's mission. Tactical planning. Tactical planning takes the strategic plan and breaks it down into manageable jobs, that is, shorter term plans for individual areas of the business to enable the strategic plan to be achieved. Senior and middle managers make short to medium term plan for the next year. Operational planning. Operational planning involves making day-to-day decisions about what to do next and how to deal with problems as they arise. All managers are involved in day-to-day decisions. Simple hierarchy of management tasks can be presented as follows. Day-to-day operational planning and control. Short-term tactical planning and control. Long-term strategic planning and control.
Yes. ये हमारा pyramid है. This pyramid again is very fundamental to management accounting because every concept of management accounting gets broken down at 3 levels. Every time we are going to look at what do the strategic people do. ये strategic people कौन होते हैं? These are the senior management of your company, board of directors, CFOs, CAOs, and so on so forth. वो लोग जब प्लानिंग करने बैठते हैं वो ये नहीं डिसाइड करते हैं कि आज हम क्या करेंगे. दे प्लान की कंपनी नेक्स्ट 3 साल में क्या करेगी या कंपनी नेक्स्ट 5 साल में किधर जा रही है. So they are doing strategic planning, very top level planning, broad level plan. That broad plan is given to the tactical level. Tactical level में तुम्हारे senior managers रहते हैं. Okay, so the long term goal of 5 years will probably be broken down into 1 year at a time. It will be broken down into 1 year. Tactical manager जो रहेगा senior manager वो अपने लिए aim बनाएगा कि इस year end तक मुझे क्या achieve करना है. Right? Further tactical plan जो है वो operational plan में break down. Maybe a monthly plan. कभी तो उसके भी नीचे डेली प्लान करो कि आज कितना प्रोडक्शन करना है, आज मुझे अगर सेल्स टारगेट अचीव करना है तो कितना सेल करना है, एंड सो ऑन. राइट, सो वी आर ऑलवेज टॉकिंग अबाउट 3 levels depending upon the seniority of the bank. Are we okay with the 3 levels? Strategic, tactical, and operational. ये नाम याद रखना. The three names and the three levels should be now in your blood. Cannot forget. Are we good? Lovely. Good. This is something that you can go through on your own actually. I don't really want to read all this. उन्होंने क्या किया है यहाँ पे एक प्राइवेट स्कूल और एक प्रॉफिट सीकिंग बिजनेस को कंपेयर किया. Yeah. School when you take typically, we don't say that the school is a profit making organization. Yeah, of course, nowadays it's all a business and it's all very commercial. That's a different thing. But typically when we talk about schools, we don't say they have been established with an intention to make profit. They have been established with an objective to provide education. So they are not profit making. Generally, they take fees only so that they can meet their expenses. Huh? But life is different nowadays. Right now, remember, private school मतलब एक अच्छी स्कूल जो खाली फीस खर्चे निकालने के लिए ले रही है और एक प्रॉफिट सीकिंग बिजनेस. हाउ दोनों का मिशन अलग होगा, स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लान अलग होगा, टैक्टिकल प्लान अलग होगा और ऑपरेशनल प्लान. Yeah, so this is something that I want you all to sorry for my handwriting. I call it ROO, which is read on your own. Yeah, ठीक है, चलो, so I'll see you tomorrow.